You're watching Fictional Scientist, a journey into alternate realities, fractured timelines, and high stakes thought experiments. Something changed in 2023. After 70 years of denial, ridicule, and silence, the United States government suddenly started talking about UFOs. Not fringe conspiracy theorists, not random witnesses, official government testimony, congressional hearings, Pentagon reports. Whistleblowers with security clearances describing crashed alien craft and reverse engineered technology. The disclosure everyone had demanded for decades was finally happening. Except it wasn't disclosure. It was something else, something darker. A psychological operation so massive, so sophisticated, that even people who considered themselves awake were falling for it. This is the story of Project Blue Beam, the plan to fake an alien invasion, to unite humanity under a single global government, to manufacture the greatest threat humanity has ever faced. And they're doing it right now in plain sight, while everyone watches the sky and waits for the truth. The truth isn't coming from the stars, it's being projected onto them. For 70 years, the official position was consistent. UFOs don't exist. Anyone who sees them is mistaken, lying, or crazy. Pilots who report strange objects in the sky are ridiculed out of their careers. Military personnel who witness impossible aerial phenomena are told to forget what they saw and never speak of it again. Researchers who investigate are marginalized. The topic itself becomes joke. Little green men, tinfoil hats, science fiction for people who can't handle reality. Then suddenly, everything changed. It started quietly. Military pilots began going public with encounters they'd had years earlier. Objects moving in ways that violated physics. Craft with no visible propulsion. Things that could accelerate instantly, turn impossibly, dive into oceans without slowing. The pilots were credible, decorated. Not the kind of people you could dismiss as conspiracy theorists or attention seekers. The Pentagon released videos, official footage from military aircraft, objects tracked on multiple sensor systems, confirmed by radar, recorded by infrared cameras. The videos were grainy, brief, but undeniable. Something was there, something that shouldn't exist according to known technology. Then came the whistleblowers, former intelligence officers, people with high-level clearances. They testified to Congress, under oath. They claimed the government had recovered crashed alien spacecraft, had been studying them for decades, had reverse engineered some of the technology, was hiding this from the public and even from congressional oversight. The testimony was explosive. It made headlines. Congressional committees held hearings. Senators and representatives asked questions, demanded transparency, called for investigations. The stigma around UFOs evaporated almost overnight. Serious people were taking this seriously. The media covered it without mockery. Scientists began admitting maybe there was something worth studying. This was disclosure. Finally, after 70 years of lies and cover-ups, the truth was coming out. Aliens exist. They've been visiting Earth. Their technology is real. The government has been hiding this. Now they're revealing it. Transparency, accountability, truth. Except none of that made sense if you stopped to think about it. Why now? Why, after 70 years of perfect secrecy, would the most secretive agencies in the world suddenly start revealing their biggest secret? Why would the Pentagon, which had spent decades denying and ridiculing UFO reports, suddenly start releasing videos and confirming encounters? The official explanation was that they'd been forced. Public pressure, congressional demands, leaks that made continued denial impossible. The truth was coming out whether they wanted it to or not, so they were getting ahead of it. Controlling the narrative, managing disclosure. But that explanation required believing the Pentagon and intelligence agencies, organizations that had successfully kept far more sensitive secrets for far longer, had suddenly lost control. That they were being forced into transparency by Congress and public opinion. That they were helpless victims of circumstance rather than the most powerful information control apparatus in human history. It didn't add up. Unless disclosure wasn't what it appeared to be, unless this wasn't truth finally emerging, unless this was something else entirely, a plan, an operation, a setup for something much bigger than anyone was ready to imagine. Before we can understand what's really happening, we need to understand what's possible. What technology actually exists? What capabilities have been developed but kept classified? Because the alien invasion that's coming won't be real. It will be fake. but it will be convincing enough that billions of people will believe it's real. And that's only possible because of technology that already exists right now. Holographic projection has been around for decades, not the primitive holograms you see at concerts or museums. Advanced systems capable of creating three-dimensional images in the sky, massive, detailed, visible from miles away. The military has been developing this since at least the 80s, initially for psychological warfare, project images of religious figures over enemy territory, create mass panic or compliance. The technology worked, it was refined, it was classified, combined with modern capabilities, drones carrying projection equipment, satellite-based lasers, atmospheric manipulation. You can create images in the sky that look completely real. Ships, beings, entire fleets appearing out of nowhere, moving, interacting, seeming to respond to human activity. All fake, all projected, but indistinguishable from real to anyone watching from the ground. Voice-to-skull technology exists, proven, documented. The ability to project sound directly into someone's brain, not through ears, through microwave pulses that stimulate the auditory cortex. The person hears a voice, clear, detailed, seemingly coming from outside them, but nobody else hears it. It's directed, targeted. You can make one person hear something while the person standing next to them hears nothing. Imagine combining that with holographic projections. You see a spacecraft in the sky and you hear a voice in your head, a message, instructions, warnings, all perfectly coordinated, all seeming to come from alien visitors. But it's technology, human technology, weaponized for psychological manipulation. Mass manipulation through electromagnetic fields is possible. Frequencies that affect human brain activity, that induce fear, confusion, compliance, that make people more susceptible to suggestion, more willing to accept authority, more likely to panic or to obey. These technologies have been tested. They work, they're classified. You can create an experience that's completely fabricated but feels absolutely real. You can make millions of people see the same thing in the sky, hear the same messages, feel the same fear, experience what appears to be first contact with alien intelligence, and it's all fake, all technology, all controlled. This isn't speculation. These capabilities exist, have existed for decades, have been refined and improved, are operational. The only question is whether they'll be used. And if the sudden push for UFO disclosure is setting the stage, the answer is yes. They're going to be used, soon, for the biggest psychological operation in human history. The technology to fake an alien invasion exists now, but the setup for this operation began much earlier, began in 1947, when something crashed in New Mexico, when the military recovered wreckage and bodies, when the modern UFO phenomenon was born. What really happened at Roswell? The official story has changed multiple times. Weather balloon, then secret military project, then maybe something else. The inconsistency itself fuels speculation, makes people wonder what's being hidden, keeps the mystery alive. But here's another possibility. What crashed wasn't alien, it was human. Advanced technology from Nazi scientists brought to America after the war. Operation Paperclip brought over rocket scientists. Everyone knows that. What's less discussed is that it also brought physicists, engineers, people who'd been working on technology far beyond conventional understanding, anti-gravity research, electromagnetic propulsion, craft that could maneuver in ways that seemed impossible. The Nazis hadn't perfected these technologies, but they'd made progress. Enough progress that American and Soviet intelligence both scrambled to capture German scientists and their research after the war. Both sides got some. Both sides continued development in secret, created craft that looked like nothing else in the sky, that moved in ways conventional aircraft couldn't, that appeared alien because they were so far beyond public technology. When one of these experimental craft crashed in New Mexico in 1947, the military had a choice. Admit they were testing advanced technology that the public didn't know existed, or claim it was a weather balloon and let speculation about aliens fill the void. They chose the second option, and in doing so, they created the modern UFO mythology. Every subsequent sighting of secret military craft got interpreted as alien visitation. Every unexplained object in the sky became evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence. The military tested their black projects openly, knowing that any civilian who saw them would assume aliens rather than secret human technology. For 70 years, this pattern continued. Military develops advanced craft, tests them. Civilians see them, report UFOs. Government denies everything or offers ridiculous explanations. Public believes in aliens. Military keeps testing their technology in plain sight because the UFO cover story works perfectly. Some crashed, some were seen up close, some were photographed. Each incident reinforced the alien narrative, built the mythology, created generations of believers who were absolutely convinced that aliens were visiting Earth and the government was covering it up. Which was partially true. The government was covering something up, just not aliens. They were covering advanced human technology, capabilities that would terrify the public if they knew their own government possessed them. Craft that could appear anywhere, anytime, that could evade all detection, that could manipulate matter and energy in ways that seemed magical. But let people think it's aliens, that works fine. That keeps the real secret safe, and that sets up something bigger. Because once you've spent 70 years building belief in alien visitation, you can weaponize that belief. You can use it for the biggest operation ever attempted. You can fake an alien invasion, and people will believe it's real because they've been conditioned for decades to believe aliens are already here. The setup is complete, the technology exists, the public belief is established, all that's left is execution. And the sudden disclosure push in 2023 and 2024, that's not revelation. That's activation. That's the final stage before the operation goes live. Look at how disclosure is happening, who's doing it, what they're saying. The pattern reveals the operation. First came the military pilots, credible witnesses, people who can't be dismissed. They described encounters with unknown craft, objects that defied physics. The stories were compelling. The witnesses were believable. Public interest grew. Then came the Pentagon videos, official footage released through proper channels, confirmation that yes, military sensors detected these objects. Yes, they performed impossible maneuvers. Yes, we don't know what they are. The videos were real. The objects were real. Mystery deepened. Then came the whistleblowers. Former intelligence officers with high-level clearances, they testified to Congress, claimed the government had crashed alien spacecraft, had been studying them for decades, had recovered alien bodies, had reverse engineered some of the technology, was hiding this from oversight. The testimony was under oath, the witnesses were credible, the claims were extraordinary. Congressional hearings followed, senators and representatives demanding answers, threatening subpoenas, calling for transparency, bipartisan cooperation, everyone wanting to know the truth. The message was clear. Disclosure is happening. The government is being forced to reveal what it knows. Truth is emerging. But notice what's not happening. No actual evidence is being presented. No craft are being shown. No technology is being demonstrated. No alien bodies are being produced. Just testimony, just claims, just stories about evidence that exists but can't be shown because it's classified, because it's too sensitive, because revealing it would harm national security. The pattern is perfect psychological manipulation. Create belief without proof, build anticipation without delivery, make people demand disclosure while never actually disclosing anything concrete. Keep the story alive, keep the interest high, keep people looking up at the sky and wondering when the truth will finally come out. Because the truth isn't coming. The truth is that there's nothing to disclose, or rather what will be disclosed isn't truth. It's a constructed narrative, carefully crafted, designed to prepare the public for what's coming next. The whistleblowers aren't lying. They believe what they're saying. They've been given access to information that confirms alien visitation. They've been told about crashed craft and recovered bodies. They're true believers, but they've been fed false information. Controlled opposition. People who think they're exposing the truth but are actually spreading the cover story that sets up the next phase. The Pentagon isn't being forced into disclosure. They're managing it, controlling the narrative, releasing information on their timeline, building toward something. Each hearing raises more questions than it answers. Each revelation creates more mystery. Each testimony makes people more convinced that aliens are real and the government has been hiding them, which is exactly what needs to happen for Project Bluebeam to work. People need to believe aliens are real, need to expect first contact, need to be primed for what they're about to see in the sky. So when the holograms appear, when the false invasion begins, when the greatest psychological operation in history goes live, everyone will believe it's real because they've been prepared, conditioned, set up perfectly. The disclosure isn't revelation, it's preparation. It's the final setup before execution, and it's working exactly as planned. Here's how it will probably happen. Not all at once, not too dramatic too fast. Gradual, escalating, building, giving people time to adjust, time to believe, time to accept each new development before the next one comes. It starts with sightings, more frequent, more widespread, objects in the sky that hundreds of people see simultaneously, that get recorded on multiple cameras, that can't be explained away as drones or planes or weather phenomena. The military confirms detection, shows radar tracks, admits these are real objects demonstrating extraordinary capabilities, but claims they don't know what they are. The mystery deepens. Then comes communication, or what appears to be communication. Radio signals, mathematical patterns, messages that seem to be attempts at contact. Scientists analyze them, determine they're artificial, non-human, intelligent. The media goes wild. This is it. First contact. Aliens are trying to reach us. The signals are real, verified, coming from space or appearing to come from space. Then physical proximity. The craft come closer, land in remote areas, leave evidence, traces, marks on the ground, radiation. Witnesses see beings, describe them. The descriptions are consistent across multiple sightings. The beings seem real, physical, biological. They don't stay long, they observe and leave, but they're definitely not human, definitely alien. Then open contact, a craft lands somewhere public, visible, undeniable. Beings emerge. They don't attack, they communicate through technology, through telepathy, through whatever method makes it seem most alien. They claim to be peaceful, claim to have been visiting Earth for thousands of years, claim they want to help humanity, want to guide us, want to elevate us to galactic community. The message is hopeful, positive, exactly what people want to hear. World governments respond, some with welcome, some with suspicion, some with fear, but all coordinating. United Nations becomes central authority for human-alien diplomacy. Experts are assembled, protocols are established, treaties are negotiated. Humanity begins its relationship with alien intelligence. Everything changes. The world unites. Old conflicts seem petty. National boundaries seem meaningless. We're one species now, facing the cosmos together. And then the threat emerges. Not from the benevolent aliens, from the others, the hostile ones. Different faction, different agenda. They arrive, aggressive, demanding, threatening. They want Earth's resources, or they want to eliminate humanity, or they want to conquer and enslave us. What an error this! It's terrifying. These aliens aren't friendly. They're dangerous. They're preparing to invade. The benevolent aliens offer to help defend Earth, but they need humanity's cooperation, need global coordination, need unified command structure, need everyone to submit to single authority that can coordinate planetary defense, need surveillance, control, monitoring of entire population to identify threats and collaborators, need martial law, emergency powers, suspension of normal rights and freedoms for the duration of the crisis, for as long as it takes to ensure humanity's survival. And most people accept it because the threat is real, because the invasion is happening, because alien warships are in orbit and hostile beings are on the ground and humanity needs to defend itself. United, together, under single leadership, single authority, single government, except none of it is real. The benevolent aliens are holograms. The hostile aliens are holograms. The warships are projections, the beings are fake, the invasion is theater, but the global government is real, the surveillance is real, the control is real, the emergency powers are real, and once granted, they won't be returned, ever. The crisis will continue, the threat will persist, the emergency will become, and humanity will be enslaved in the name of protecting itself from threat that never existed. That's Project Bluebeam. That's the plan. That's what the disclosure is building toward, and it's probably starting in 2025, maybe sooner. All the pieces are in place, all the preparation is complete, all that's left is execution. But there's a possibility that makes this even darker. What if aliens are real? What if they actually have been visiting Earth? What if the government actually did recover crashed craft and alien bodies? What if everything the whistleblowers are saying is true? And what if the real conspiracy is what the government is planning to do about it? Consider this scenario. Aliens have been visiting Earth for decades, maybe longer. They haven't invaded, haven't attacked, haven't enslaved us, haven't done anything hostile. They've observed, occasionally interacted, made themselves known to select individuals, but mostly just watched, waited, tried to gently guide humanity toward peaceful development, toward avoiding self-destruction, toward eventually joining galactic community when we're ready. They're not saints, not saviors, just beings from elsewhere, with their own interests and agendas, but not hostile, not threatening, not invaders, just observers who occasionally intervene to prevent us from destroying ourselves entirely. The government knows this, has known for decades, has had contact, has communicated with them, understands their intentions, knows they're not a threat, could have told the public, could have revealed their existence, could have worked toward open contact and cooperation. But that doesn't serve government and military interests. Peaceful aliens don't justify unlimited budgets, don't validate surveillance states, don't enable global control, don't provide the perfect enemy that unites humanity under single authority. So instead of revealing the truth, they're planning to weaponize alien contact, to take real alien presence and twist it into threat, to use holographic technology to fake an invasion, to make benevolent beings appear hostile, to manufacture crisis that justifies total control, to ensure that when contact becomes undeniable, it happens on terms that benefit power structures rather than humanity. Some whistleblowers might be trying to prevent this, might be revealing alien presence now, before the fake invasion, hoping that if people know the truth first, they won't fall for the manufactured threat. But they're fighting against intelligence agencies and military power that's had decades to plan. Their disclosure is being managed, controlled, steered toward narrative that serves the operation rather than prevents it. So disclosure might be real, aliens might be real, and everything the government is about to show us might be fake. The real aliens peaceful, the fake aliens hostile. The real threat not from space, but from our own governments using alien presence as cover for totalitarian control. How do you tell the difference? How do you know if what you're seeing in the sky is real alien contact or holographic manipulation? How do you know if the beings communicating are actual extraterrestrial intelligence or voice-to-skull technology making you think you're receiving telepathic messages? You can't. That's the genius of this operation. If real aliens exist, the fake invasion becomes more believable. If real aliens don't exist, the fake invasion still works because people have been conditioned to believe they do. Either way, the operation succeeds. Either way, humanity falls for the lie. Either way, we end up controlled by global government claiming to protect us from threat that's either entirely fake or deliberately manufactured by misrepresenting peaceful contact as hostile invasion. The people running this aren't stupid. They've been planning for decades, considering every angle, preparing for every contingency. Whether aliens are real or fake, they've figured out how to weaponize the concept against humanity, how to use our hope for contact and our fear of the unknown to enslave us more completely than any overt tyranny ever could. That's the real conspiracy. Not that aliens don't exist, but that whether they exist or not, we're being set up for the greatest deception in human history. And almost nobody sees it coming because they're too busy looking up at the sky instead of looking at the people preparing to use the sky as their biggest theater of manipulation. This isn't the first time something like this has been attempted. The technology is new, the scale is unprecedented, but using false threats to unite populations under centralized control, that's ancient strategy, and there are historical precedents that show us exactly how this works. The Orson Welles radio broadcast of War of the Worlds in 1938 demonstrated that mass panic from fake alien invasion was possible. People heard realistic-sounding reports of Martian landing and believed it was real. Panicked, fled. Some thought the world was ending. The broadcast was clearly labeled as fiction, announced as radio drama, but people tuning in mid-show didn't know that. They believed what they were hearing, and they reacted accordingly. Military and intelligence agencies studied this event carefully, learned valuable lessons, understood that people's belief in alien invasion didn't require actual aliens, just convincing presentation, realistic details, credible-sounding authorities confirming what people were seeing or hearing. Get those elements right and you can create mass hysteria, Mass compliance, mass willingness to accept any authority claiming to protect them. The Cold War was built on manufactured threat. Soviet Union was real, but the threat was exaggerated, capabilities inflated, intentions misrepresented. Both sides used fear of the other to justify military spending, surveillance, control of domestic populations. We need these powers to protect you from the enemy. And most people accepted it, gave up rights, accepted restrictions, lived under systems of control they would have rejected except for the threat. When Soviet Union collapsed, new threat was needed. Terrorism filled that role. Real terrorists existed. Real attacks happened. But the threat was systematically exaggerated, used to justify wars, surveillance, erosion of civil liberties. We're at war. We need emergency powers. We need to monitor everyone. We need to suspend normal protections for your safety, for national security. And again, most people accepted it because the threat seemed real. The fear was genuine. The need for protection felt urgent. Now terrorism is old, familiar, no longer scary enough to justify unlimited power. New threat is needed. Bigger threat, one that makes old conflicts irrelevant, one that unites all humanity against common enemy, one that justifies not just national security states, but global security state. Single authority, single control system, worldwide, inescapable. Alien invasion is perfect, transcends all previous threats, makes all prior conflicts meaningless, unites humanity in ways nothing else could, and unlike Cold War or War on Terror, this threat can't be defeated, can't be negotiated with, can't be appeased. It's existential, permanent, requiring permanent emergency measures, permanent control, forever. That's why it's being prepared now. All previous manufactured threats have reached diminishing returns. Climate change is too slow, pandemics are too temporary, economic crises are too abstract, aliens are immediate, visible, terrifying, perfect enemy that justifies everything, that makes every sacrifice seem necessary. That silences all dissent because anyone questioning the response is endangering humanity's survival. And unlike previous manufactured threats, this one can be completely controlled. Real Soviets could act unpredictably. Real terrorists could attack when not planned. Real viruses could mutate unexpectedly. But holographic aliens, they do exactly what they're programmed to do. Appear when planned, escalate on schedule, threaten precisely enough to justify each new power grab without threatening the actual operation. Perfect theater, perfect control, perfect outcome for those running it. History shows us this is how power works. Create threat, offer protection, demand submission in exchange, consolidate, control, repeat. Each cycle increases power, decreases freedom, moves closer to total dominance. Alien invasion is just latest and greatest iteration. Final phase, endgame. After this, there's nowhere left to go. Global government achieved. Permanent control established. Resistance impossible, because questioning the system means siding with alien invaders against humanity. The precedents are clear. The pattern is obvious. This is happening. Now, the disclosure is preparation. The sightings are set up. The invasion is coming. And when it does, humanity will beg for chains in exchange for protection from threat that exists only in projection equipment and psychological manipulation. The whistleblowers aren't heroes. They're not brave truth tellers fighting corrupt system. They're part of the operation, maybe without knowing it, maybe believing they're exposing secrets when they're actually spreading prepared narrative. But their role is clear. Make disclosure seem legitimate. Make it seem like truth is being dragged out unwillingly. Make people believe this is revelation rather than manipulation. Look at their backgrounds, high-level clearances, access to classified programs, connections to intelligence community. These aren't outsiders who stumbled onto secrets. These are insiders, people who've been trusted with sensitive information, who've operated within the system for years, who know how classification works, how secrecy is maintained, how information is controlled, and suddenly they're talking, publicly, under oath, revealing what they claim are the government's deepest secrets, the most explosive revelations possible. Aliens are real. We have their craft. We've been hiding this for decades. This is the truth they don't want you to know. Except if they didn't want this known, these whistleblowers wouldn't be testifying to Congress. They'd be silenced, discredited, destroyed. Intelligence agencies are very good at neutralizing threats, very experienced at preventing unwanted revelations. If disclosure wasn't part of the plan, It wouldn't be happening through official channels with congressional protection and media coverage. It would be shut down hard and fast. Instead, it's being amplified. Their testimony is recorded, broadcast, reported widely. Their claims are taken seriously, given legitimacy, turned into official concern requiring government response. This isn't exposure despite government opposition. This is exposure because of government orchestration. Some whistleblowers might genuinely believe they're fighting the system, might think they're brave heroes exposing truth, but they're being used. Their testimony serves the operation, builds the narrative, prepares public consciousness, makes alien presence believable so that when the fake invasion happens, everyone will think it's real because credible whistleblowers have been saying aliens are here all along. Others probably know they're part of operation. Are controlled assets, playing their role, saying what they've been told to say, revealing information they've been authorized to reveal. Their job is making disclosure look authentic, look like truth emerging against resistance, rather than carefully managed rollout of prepared narrative. The pattern is perfect information warfare, multiple sources, different accounts, apparently independent, all saying similar things, building consensus, creating belief through repetition and apparent corroboration, classic intelligence operation, multiple vectors, reinforcing message, overwhelming doubt, building narrative until it becomes accepted reality. And it's working. People believe the disclosure is real, believe we're finally learning the truth, believe aliens are confirmed and government is being forced to admit it. They're primed, ready, waiting for next phase, which is exactly where the operation needs them to be. The controlled opposition isn't fighting the system, it is the system, wearing mask of resistance, pretending to expose secrets while actually spreading the biggest lie ever told. And most people can't see it because they want to believe, want disclosure to be real, want vindication for years of believing, want the truth to finally come out. But truth isn't coming, only the prepared narrative is coming. And by the time people realize they've been deceived, it will be too late. The invasion will have started. The global government will be in place, and the whistleblowers will have served their purpose. Useful assets in the greatest psychological operation ever conducted, based on the patterns, based on the preparation, based on how these operations typically unfold. Here's what's probably coming, when each phase will likely happen, how it will build, how it will culminate, late 2024 through early 2025, continued disclosure, more hearings, more whistleblowers, more Pentagon confirmations, building momentum, building belief, making alien presence seem inevitable, making contact seem imminent, preparing public consciousness for what's coming next. Summer 2025, major sighting, mass event, something thousands of people see simultaneously, object in sky, behaving impossibly, tracked by multiple systems, undeniable, unexplainable by conventional means. Media coverage explodes. This is it. Real proof, real contact. Humanity holds its breath, waiting for what happens next. Fall 2025, communication begins, signals detected, patterns analyzed, mathematical, intelligent, artificial, not from Earth, scientists confirm, world leaders respond, United Nations convenes, protocols activated, humanity prepares for first contact, everything else becomes secondary. All attention on this, all resources mobilized. This is the moment, the turning point. History dividing into before and after. Winter 2025 into 2026. Physical contact, craft lands, beings emerge, contact established, they communicate. They're peaceful, they've been watching us. They want to help, they have knowledge, technology, guidance, they can solve our problems. End poverty, cure disease, give us the stars. All we have to do is trust them, follow their advice, work together as unified species. Some people suspicious, some governments resistant, but majority embracing this, wanting what's being offered, willing to cooperate, willing to unite, willing to accept guidance from benevolent aliens who claim to care about humanity's future. Global government forms rapidly. Necessity of coordinating alien contact justifies it. Everyone accepts it. This is too big for nation states, too important for old divisions. We're one humanity now, one planet, one voice. Then late 2026 or 2027. The others arrive, the hostile ones. They don't want cooperation, they want conquest, or resources, or elimination of humanity. The specifics don't matter. What matters is their threat, real threat, existential threat, and we need to defend ourselves, need to fight, need to unite even more completely under even stronger authority, need to accept even greater restrictions, need to sacrifice freedom for security, for survival. And most people will accept it because the threat is real, because they've seen the peaceful aliens, have accepted their reality. So when the hostile aliens appear, of course those are real too. Of course we need to fight them. Of course we need global military, global surveillance, global control, otherwise we'll be destroyed, enslaved, exterminated. This is war. War for survival. Everything else is secondary. Freedom is luxury we can't afford right now, maybe later, after we win, after the threat is eliminated, but not now. Now we need strength, unity, obedience for the species, for survival, for Earth, and that state of emergency never ends. The threat never fully dissipates. There's always another crisis, another escalation, another reason why we can't relax control, can't return freedom, can't question authority, because we're still at war, still in danger, still need protection, forever. That's the timeline. That's how it unfolds. Each phase building on previous one, each development seeming natural, inevitable. Right, by the time people realize what's happened, it's too late. The trap has closed, the cage is built. Humanity enslaved, not by obvious tyranny, but by accepting protection from manufactured threat. Timeline could shift, events might accelerate or delay, specific details might vary, but the pattern will hold. Disclosure, contact, threat, unity, control, enslavement. That's the sequence. That's Project Bluebeam, and it's starting now. But let's return to the darker possibility that real aliens exist, have been visiting, are peaceful or at least neutral, and are about to be weaponized by human governments against both humanity and themselves. Imagine you're an alien species that's been observing Earth for decades. You've watched humanity develop, struggle, make progress, make mistakes. You've occasionally intervened, prevented nuclear war a few times, disabled weapons, demonstrated your presence to key individuals hoping they'd guide humanity toward peaceful development. You've been patient, waiting for humanity to be ready for open contact, for the species to mature enough that revealing your existence won't cause panic or conflict. You've been preparing, planning, hoping that eventually you can welcome humanity into larger community of civilizations, help them, guide them, support their development. And then you notice something disturbing. The governments know about you, have known for decades, have been covering up your existence, have been studying crashed craft, reverse engineering technology, developing their own capabilities, preparing for something. You watch as they suddenly start disclosure process, start preparing humanity for alien contact, and you think maybe this is good. Maybe they're finally ready. Maybe the governments are preparing population for truth, for reality of your existence, for the contact you've been hoping for. But then you see the plan, see what they're actually preparing. Holographic technology, false invasion scenarios, plans to use your existence as cover for totalitarian control, plans to fake hostile aliens, to weaponize your presence, to enslave humanity while blaming you, to turn peaceful contact into manufactured war. What do? How do you prevent this? How do you reveal yourself as peaceful before they can present you as hostile? How do you communicate truth before the lies become established reality? You can't just land openly. That plays into their narrative, gives them the contact event they need to trigger their plan. Can't send messages easily. They control communication networks, can manipulate any signal, can make you appear threatening even if you're not, can try reaching out to individuals, hoping they'll spread truth, but those individuals are dismissed as crazy, ridiculed, marginalized. Their testimony used to support narrative that aliens exist but can't be trusted, that contact is dangerous, that we need protection from alien influence. You're trapped by being real, by being here, by existing. The governments can weaponize your presence whether you do anything or not. Can fake invasion using holographic technology while making it seem like real aliens attacking. Can blame you for crisis they created. Can enslave humanity while claiming to protect them from you. And if you try to intervene, try to reveal truth, try to expose the operation, you become the threat, become the hostile aliens the governments claim you are. Prove their narrative. Give them justification for everything they're planning. You lose either way. That's the genius of Project Bluebeam from government perspective. If aliens don't exist, the fake invasion works. If aliens do exist and are peaceful, the fake invasion works and the real aliens can't prevent it without appearing to be the threat. Either way, humanity gets enslaved. Either way, the operation succeeds. The real aliens, if they exist, are watching in horror. Realizing they're about to be used, about to be blamed, about to see humanity enslaved using their existence as justification, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. Every action they take makes it worse. Every attempt to help gets twisted into proof they're dangerous. Silence is weaponized. Intervention is weaponized. They can't win. So maybe they've decided to wait, to let the operation unfold, to let humanity learn the hard way. And then, after the fake invasion fails, after the holographic lie becomes obvious, after humanity realizes they've been deceived, maybe then real contact becomes possible. Maybe then truth can be told. Maybe then peaceful coexistence becomes achievable. Or maybe they'll watch humanity fall. Watch us enslave ourselves. Watch us destroy any chance at joining larger community. Watch us prove we're not ready, not mature enough, not wise enough, and they'll leave, sadly, regretfully, knowing they tried, knowing we weren't ready, knowing we chose the lie over truth because the lie was easier to believe. Either way, the real tragedy isn't whether aliens exist, it's that we're being manipulated regardless, used, deceived, enslaved using our own hopes and fears against us. That's the real conspiracy. That's the real crime. And almost nobody sees it coming because they're too busy arguing about whether aliens are real instead of preparing for how that question will be weaponized against them. What makes Project Bluebeam so effective is that it weaponizes human psychology, exploits how we think, how we perceive, how we believe, how we respond to fear and hope and wonder. The technology creates the experience, but psychology makes it believable, irresistible, inescapable. Humans are pattern recognition machines. We see faces in clouds, messages in random noise, meaning in coincidence. It's how our brains work, how we survived as species. Better to see patterns that aren't there than miss patterns that are. False positive beats false negative when predators are hunting you. But that same capability makes us vulnerable. Show us lights in sky arranged in pattern and we'll interpret them as intentional, as craft, as intelligence, even if they're just lights, just projections, just randomness. Our brains create meaning, create narrative, create belief in what we're seeing, because that's what brains do. Add movement, add impossible maneuvers, add behavior that seems purposeful, and conviction strengthens. This isn't random. This is real. This is something. We don't know what, but it's definitely something. And once that belief forms, evidence that contradicts it gets dismissed, explained away, ignored. Because changing belief is harder than maintaining it. Cognitive dissonance is uncomfortable, easier to rationalize than reassess. Combine visual stimulus with auditory, voice-to-skull technology making people hear messages, instructions, warnings, in their own minds, seeming to come from the craft they're seeing, from the beings they're observing. Perfect synchronization between what they see and what they see and what they hear. Makes it real, makes it undeniable, makes doubt impossible because the experience is total, multisensory, overwhelming. Add electromagnetic manipulation, frequencies that induce fear or awe or compliance, make people more susceptible to suggestion, more likely to believe what they're being told, more willing to accept authority, less able to think critically. They don't know they're being affected, just feel like the experience is profound, important, real, must be obeyed, must be believed, no choice. And add social proof, millions of people seeing the same thing, confirming each other's experiences. If you doubt, you're the crazy one. Everyone else sees it. Everyone else believes it. How can you deny what's obvious to everyone? You can't. Social pressure is immense. Conformity is powerful. You believe because everyone believes. Because not believing means being isolated. Wrong. Crazy. Better to believe. Safer to believe. Necessary to believe. That's psychological warfare perfected, not just deceiving people, making them want to be deceived, making doubt harder than belief, making questioning more difficult than accepting, creating conditions where even if someone suspects deception, they can't act on that suspicion because the social and psychological cost is too high. And it works, has been tested, has been refined, will work on global scale when deployed. Most people will believe, will accept, will comply, will demand protection from threat they've been convinced is real, will give up freedom willingly, gratefully, desperately, because the alternative is facing aliens alone. unprotected. Vulnerable, unthinkable, the few who don't believe, who see through it, who recognize the manipulation. They'll be isolated, marginalized, labeled conspiracy theorists, alien collaborators, enemies of humanity, silenced not by force but by social pressure, by being made irrelevant, by having their truth drowned out by overwhelming consensus that the invasion is real and resistance to global government is suicide. Psychological warfare doesn't require belief in the operation's reality, just requires making disbelief socially impossible, psychologically untenable, practically suicidal. And that's what Project Bluebeam achieves. Not truth, not reality, but belief so total that truth becomes irrelevant. So what happens now? What do you do with this information? How do you prepare for what's coming? First, understand that whether you believe this or not, disclosure is happening. UFO reports are increasing. Government acknowledgement is expanding. Public consciousness is being prepared for something. That's undeniable, regardless of interpretation. Second, recognize that whatever happens next will be presented as real alien contact, whether it's real or fake, whether it's holographic deception or actual extraterrestrial intelligence. The narrative will be that aliens are here, they're communicating, they're interacting, and we need to respond. Third, accept that most people will believe it's real. We'll accept the narrative, we'll demand protection, we'll embrace global government, we'll sacrifice freedom for security. You won't stop that, won't change mass psychology, won't prevent the operation from succeeding if it's launched. But you can prepare yourself, mentally, emotionally, strategically. You can decide now what you'll believe, what evidence you'll require, what you'll accept, and what you'll reject. You can establish your baseline of reality before the manipulation begins. So when the sky fills with lights and voices speak in your mind and everyone around you is panicking or celebrating, you have anchor. You have reference point. You have clarity. Question everything, every sighting, every message, every claim of contact. Ask who benefits, what narrative is being pushed, what response is being demanded. If the answer is global government and unlimited surveillance and permanent emergency powers, be skeptical, very skeptical, because that's exactly what Project Bluebeam is designed to achieve. Look for technical explanations. Could this be holographic? Could this be voice to skull? Could this be coordinated deception using existing technology? If the answer is yes, if human tech can explain what you're seeing, then assume human tech until proven otherwise. Don't jump to aliens just because the experience is profound. Profundity can be engineered. Wonder can be weaponized. Watch the responses. Watch governments. If they're using this to consolidate power, eliminate opposition, impose control, that's evidence of operation rather than genuine contact. Real alien contact wouldn't conveniently justify everything authoritarian governments have wanted for decades. Fake alien contact designed by those governments would do exactly that. And remember, this might not happen. The operation might be delayed, canceled, modified, plans change, operations fail. This isn't inevitable, just probable based on current trajectory. The disclosure could be exactly what it appears. The whistleblowers could be genuine, the aliens could be real, and the contact hack could be authentic. But if it's not, if this is Bluebeam, if the invasion is fake and the control is real, you'll need to have thought about this in advance. Need to have decided what you believe. Need to have prepared mentally for possibility that the greatest moment in human history is actually the greatest deception. Because in that moment, when the sky is full of ships and the voices are in your head, and everyone around you is accepting the narrative, you won't have time to think. You'll only have time to react based on what you've already decided. So decide now, think now, prepare now. Before the operation begins, before the lights appear, before the invasion starts, decide whether you'll believe your eyes or your reason, whether you'll trust the spectacle or your judgment, whether you'll accept what you're told or question what you're shown. Because Project Bluebeam, if it's real, if it's coming, will be the most convincing lie ever told. We'll use every tool of manipulation, every technique of deception, every vulnerability of human psychology, and it will work on almost everyone, almost. The few who see through it, who resist, who maintain clarity. They'll be the only ones who remember what freedom was, who understand what was lost, who carry forward the truth that humanity enslaved itself willingly because it believed a lie projected onto the sky. Be one of those few, or don't. The choice is yours, but make it now. Before the choice is made for you by fear and wonder and voices whispering in your mind that submission is safety and global government is salvation and the invasion is real. Watch the sky, but also watch the watchers, because the greatest threat isn't coming from space, it's coming from those who control what you see when you look up, and what you hear when you listen, and what you believe when the operation goes live. The truth isn't up there, it's right here. In the technology, in the plans, in the disclosure that's happening now, in the manipulation that's already begun. The aliens might be real or fake, but the operation to use them against us, that's absolutely real, and it's starting, ready or not, somewhere soon. Maybe late 2024, maybe 2025, maybe already happening as you read this. Someone will look up at the night sky and see something impossible, something that changes everything. Maybe it will be real. Maybe it will be holographic deception. Maybe it will be something in between. Real aliens being used, real contact being weaponized, truth twisted into lie, wonder weaponized, hope turned into tool of enslavement. Most people watching won't know the difference, won't be able to tell if what they're seeing is authentic or projected, whether the voices are telepathy or technology, whether the experience is contact or manipulation. They'll believe because belief is easier. Because everyone else believes, because the alternative is standing alone against apparent reality. Governments will respond, United Nations will coordinate, emergency powers will be declared, global governance will form, all justified by the threat, all necessary for protection, all temporary until the crisis passes. Except the crisis won't pass. The threat will persist. The temporary measures will become permanent. And humanity will wake up one day to realize they've been enslaved in the name of protection from danger that was always manufactured. Some will fight, will resist, will refuse to believe. They'll be crushed, not violently necessarily, just irrelevant, marginalized, dismissed, isolated, made into examples of what happens when you question, when you doubt, when you refuse to comply. Most people seeing those examples will stay quiet, keep their doubts to themselves. Accept what they're told because the alternative is too costly, and the lights in the sky will continue. The messages will keep coming. The invasion will proceed exactly as planned, each phase rolling out on schedule, each development pushing humanity further toward total control, until there's no going back, until the cage is complete, until everyone has forgotten what freedom was, unless enough people see it coming, unless enough recognize the operation. Unless enough refuse to believe despite the spectacle, unless enough maintain clarity despite the manipulation, then maybe it fails. Maybe the operation collapses under the weight of its own impossibility. Maybe humanity survives with freedom intact, but that requires awareness now, requires thinking now, requires deciding now what you'll believe before the believing is done for you. Requires skepticism strong enough to withstand wonder, doubt deep enough to survive fear, reason solid enough to resist spectacle. Do you have that? Will you maintain it when the lights appear, when the voices speak, when everyone around you is accepting what they're shown? When questioning means being isolated, ridiculed, possibly worse? That's what's being tested, that's what's being measured. That's what separates the enslaved from the free, not whether you see the lights. Everyone will see the lights, but whether you believe they mean what you're told they mean, whether you accept the narrative, whether you submit to the protection being offered, whether you trade freedom for safety from threat that might not be real. The sky is waiting. The technology is ready. The operation is prepared. Project Bluebeam is coming. Maybe soon. Maybe already here. Whether real aliens exist or not. Whether peaceful contact happens or not. The manipulation is real. The deception is planned. The enslavement is intended. And when you look up at the night sky and see something impossible, something wonderful, something terrifying, something that changes everything, remember this. Remember that wonder can be weaponized, fear can be manufactured, reality can be projected. And the greatest lie ever told will come from the stars, not because aliens are real, but because humanity will believe anything written in lights across the heavens. Watch the sky, but question everything you see there. Because the real conspiracy isn't whether aliens exist, it's what happens next after we're convinced they do. Project Bluebeam is real. The disclosure is preparation. The invasion is coming, whether you believe it or not, whether you're ready or not, whether you see it coming or not. The only question is, will you recognize it for what it is when it arrives? Or will you be one more person staring up at projected lights, believing manufactured lies, accepting offered chains, thinking you're being saved when you're actually being enslaved? Your answer to that question might determine whether humanity has a future beyond this moment, beyond this operation. Beyond this final test of whether we're wise enough to survive our own gullibility, our own desire to believe, our own willingness to trade everything for protection from nothing. The light is coming, real or fake, truth or lie, freedom or enslavement, disguised as salvation. Are you ready?